Whew. That was a lot. We finally finished 30 days of the Funk Challenge. If you want to see the progression, I made a playlist you can watch by clicking the link titled 30 Days of the Funk. Hi, I'm independent recording artist, songwriter, producer, Uni V Soul. But you can just say you and I, because you and I are about to dive into the things I've learned from the 30-day challenge. So what was the challenge? I challenged myself to take the top 30 funk songs of all time and not sample, not copy, interpolate, but use them as a source of inspiration to make my music. Sounds fun, right? Well, it was, and it was every bit of a challenge. Some of the music I created sounded eerily similar to the original when it wasn't my intention. My goal was to capture the feel and write my own compositions. So, how did I play and record all those instruments? I used a machine called the Akai MPC Live 2, and a technique called finger drumming to play each instrument. This allowed me to pick through a variety of software instruments. Since I was using these 16 pads and not the actual instruments themselves, I knew the sound and the style would automatically be different. I feel like the way you play the instruments on the MPC is what makes them sound so unique. You're probably wondering, what the heck is an MPC? Well, the MPC by Akai is a music production center, a workstation, sampler, groovebox, aka an all-around music-making machine, aka one instrument to rule them all. I've only been playing the MPC for about 3 years, but have been around them since I started my music career many moons ago. Almost any studio you would go to would have one in them. Fast forward many years later, and not only do I own one, but I also have the skills to make my music on it. Fantastic. Okay, so let's not go off on a tangent. If you want to learn more about the Akai MPC Live 2, may I suggest you Google it, but I'll add an affiliate link in the description so you can read up on it for yourself. Now let's get into the 5 things I learned by doing 30 days of the funk. Number 1, I learned to listen to music differently. You know how most of us love listening to music. We throw on our favorite joint and start getting down. Or maybe you hear something new and are like,
ooh, I like that.
Well, this was nothing like that. I learned to hear music differently through this challenge, paying attention to the details, listening to what each instrument was doing, how the musicians would play off each other, or sometimes how they would play a section together. I would listen to how some of the music would create space, and other times it would be controlled chaos. I would also listen for the position of the instruments on the soundstage, the tone, how the music complemented the song itself, and how the recording was mixed. I call this listening with intent. It's one thing to enjoy a piece of music. It's another thing to dissect it and break it down to its very last compound. The patterns, getting the feel of it, and understanding what makes the recording so great. So yeah, listening with intent is the first lesson I learned. 2, sound selection was my second lesson. Selecting sounds was huge because not only did I not own the instruments that were used in the original recordings, I was tapping on these 16 pads, aka finger drumming the sounds like
Bass,
guitar, keyboard, horns,
synths,
flutes, percussion,
bells,
vibraphone, xylophone, clavinet. That's right, it's not clav. I don't know what I was thinking when I put that there. The actual instruments have their expressiveness, and I had to figure out how to do something similar on the pads. Things like bends, slides, lows, highs, and arpeggios were challenging, but I worked within the confines of the MPC to create my sound. And I think that's also what makes making music with the MPC so unique. 3, the third thing I learned is how to make my fingers do what I didn't know was possible. Keep in mind that the musicians playing on these records were and are some of the best musicians in the world. Why else would the records be labeled the top 30 funk songs of all time by Billboard? There's a little Easter egg for you. The bass lines sometimes felt like they would be simple until I actually had to lay them down. And the drums felt like basic grooves until I tried finger drumming the rhythm. And like, how do you strum a guitar on pads? You don't. Don't even get me started on the horns. Sometimes my fingers would get tripped up, my wrists would lock up, and my forearms would be on fire. But hey, that's the price you pay for greatness. Now imagine how those musicians felt. 4, inspiration and experimentation over interpolation. I learned to be inspired by records instead of sampling and interpolating the sample. Hey, I was born into hip hop, so I grew up on records that were built on samples. Some of the greatest records of all time. The art of sampling itself can bring a fresh new perspective to a song and a wider audience. The problem with it, especially as an independent artist, I most likely will not be able to clear the sample, 1. And 2, everyone has access to the same source material. There are many ways to flip a sample, but folks are so hyper-focused on knowing where a sample comes from and telling everyone about it. So in many cases, you can't even hide where you got the sample unless you chop it up into little itty-bitty pieces and use the sample as an instrument, as so many of our greats have. The third problem is that you can still get found out even after going through all that trouble. So I decided not to sample, but instead be the type of artist other artists and producers sample. I wanted to be inspired by the music I was listening to, learn the piece, then experiment with playing to come up with my own style. Plus, my distributor won't accept records without all the proper paperwork. It's the same reason I don't get into covers too often, even though that's another good way to be heard. It's the paperwork, man. Like, who the heck wants to do paperwork? That's more time I could be spending making something original that I know was made from scratch, that I own, and has the potential to be sampled down the line, hopefully in my lifetime. And 5, I learned to be obsessed with practicing. I would go to bed thinking about practicing, wake up thinking about practicing, thinking of what I could do better each day. Sometimes I found myself sitting there for hours trying to get a hi-hat pattern down, kick drum roll, flam on the snare, working out a bass line. I mean, the obsession was real. I would give myself a cutoff because, face it, I didn't want to stop. And if I felt like I still didn't get the sound I wanted, I would be thinking about it all day. And as soon as I touched the pads again, I would try to fix it just in case I was using that technique again in an upcoming song. One thing about the obsession with practice, it helped me get incrementally better with each passing day. I was taking time each day to practice, so my mind was constantly in the zone. It even bled into my video making. I learned to set up easier, get a better shot, a consistent look and sound for my videos. This all came from showing up every day to do the work, practice. Knowing you're getting up every day to do the same thing over and over again puts your mind frame of, how can I do this better, more efficiently, faster, higher quality? You want to have a healthy obsession with practice. Okay. So those are my 5 things I learned by doing my 30-day challenge. Of course, there were other things like building templates, preparing your session, and how to never ever get writer's block. But those are different topics for a different time. I hope you found this helpful. In conclusion, I'm going to do a Q&A series for questions that folks were asking me during the challenge. I'll go through the comments, pick out some of the questions that stuck out, and make a list, plus add some questions that you might be interested in but haven't asked yet. But if you do have any questions, feel free to send them on through, and maybe your question will be in the next video I make.
Look at you, acting civilized. See the savage in your eyes, the wolf in your cries. You following the leader, hoping that he dies. Stick the dagger with the left, supposed to be his right. Judas. 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 We watch you set fires and blame the enemy. Treachery, your keepsake, the devil's offspring. Like healing, steal if you will. It's all a must. Save yourself first, only you up in us. Makeup never used to hide appearance. Hidden in plain sight, pure wickedness in every turn, wicked every word you spew. You had us all for fools, you Judas. 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 Gotta stay low, watching for the double cross, watching for the double cross. Stay low, watching for the double cross. Watching for the double cross.